Something happened with me when I traveled to Bali. Back in Europe, we constantly talk about also social topics, but I'd never seen that directly into my face. Sitting on the back of my driver's bike, I saw guys wearing Supreme shirts written off white sneakers or Bali's hoodies, mixed with the most random, everyday stuff like slippers or touristic shirts. And the realization hit me. Back in Virgil Abloh's time, this stuff was a statement, like a masterpieces of contemporary art. Pieces people were paying 1,000 euros for. And now, just clothes doing the original job. And the pieces just keep living their second life. Good quality stuff, still strong, but now worn by people who don't even know the story behind it. And honestly, maybe it's the way how it's supposed to be. When I got home, I started Googling and I figured out every new item out there is already pointless. There's literally enough clothes to dress every single person on this planet, in whatever climate, for decades. The numbers are scary. The fashion industry churns out about 80 to 100 billion garments per year. Of those, between 10% and 40% go unsold and often end up in landfills or destroyed. That means potentially 8 to 60 billion pieces of clothing per year are surplus even before considering wear, reuse, or disposal. To put it in perspective, the world population is around 8 billion. If 100 billion garments are made annually, that works out about 12 to 14 new items per person per year, just in production. Way more than anyone needs. And for disposal, approximately 92 million tons of textile waste are generated every year, equivalent to full garbage truck of clothes ending up in a landfill every second.
Time passed. I'm back in Europe again. Same bed, same routine, same comfort. And somehow, everything feels normal. Like Bali was just a dream I forgot to finish. But then I open my phone and it hits me all over again. Hundreds of videos, photos, and random notes. The faces, the streets, the outfits, all those pieces of clothing living their second life, and I kept thinking, how do I go back to my old habits after seeing that so clearly? Most people around me will never see what I saw. They won't feel that shock in their chest, realizing how much clothing already exists and how pointless constant consumption has become. And the worst part, most people genuinely do not care. Or they care for 5 seconds while scrolling and then forgetting about it. I didn't want that. I didn't want it to forget. I didn't want it to fall back into trends just because the algorithm told me to do so. I felt guilt. Like every time I bought something new, I added one more drop into an ocean that is already overflowing. I tried writing it down, journaling, posting, something on Instagram, but it still felt small, like whispering into the storm. I knew I couldn't fix fast fashion alone, but I also knew that silence isn't neutral. If we don't talk about this, nothing changes. And then I realized I already have most powerful tool in my hands. My phone. Gen Z grew up with this. We use it to express ourselves, to achieve our lives, to discover who we want to become. Why not use it to build something bigger? Something that talks about secondhand culture, about permanent style, about stepping away from a treadmill of trends. Something that invites people to rethink their relationship with clothing, not through guilt, but through creativity, community, and real emotional connection. That's how this documentary started. Where is it today? We are here to entertain, to evoke emotions, to show a different way of living with fashion, one that doesn't destroy the planet, one that lets us express ourselves beyond trends, and one that builds communities instead of landfills. This is the beginning of new conversation, and it starts here, from my phone screen to yours.
Gen Z, destroy fashion.
I just finished watching the documentary about hippies, and it made me realize a lot of stuff. It's so crazy how counterculture led to the fact that we have so many things which never would happen just because people united together. And the thing that I'm the most grateful about is secondhand, something that I encountered at really early teenage years, and it truly shaped my personality. And it inspired me to write this, and I want to read it to you. I'm glad there is such an alternative as secondhands. Secondhands didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was built by alternative people, by outsiders, by the ones who cared enough to push against the system. Hippies started it decades ago, and with time, it grew, generation by generation, until it became this whole community, this movement. And now, it's normalized, something that feels natural for us, for Gen Z. I was lucky to grow up in an environment where thrifting was already fully normalized, and that shaped me. It affected my personality. It is my self-care routine, a way to express myself, a routine that helped me to process a lot of my emotions. The pieces I found pulled me deeper into fashion, helped me to discover designers and brands outside of mass market bubble, and connected me to a community of like-minded creatives, friends who helped me to build this safe place I have today, where I can talk about all those topics that actually matters to me, where I can make projects like this documentary. And then there is the memories. Spending hours with my friends, building those stories that will stay with me for my life. Honestly, what can be better than growing this community and creating more spaces where we can share, create, and inspire each other? That's what secondhands means to me.
Gen Z, destroy fashion.
In the mid-1960s, the hippie movement emerged as a powerful counterculture force, particularly in areas like San Francisco's High-Edgebury district. Rejecting mainstream, consumerism, and materialism, hippies sought alternative lifestyle that emphasized peace, love, and individuality. This ethos extended to their fashion choices, leading many to embrace secondhand clothing as a form of self-expression and political statement. Thrift stores became popular among the youth, offering unique, affordable, and often handmade garments that aligned with their values. Items like patched denim, flowing dresses, and repurposed garments became symbol of free-spirited lifestyle. This trend was not just about the fashion. It was a deliberate effort toward contributing to the mass production and consumerism of that time. By the late 1960s, the popularity of thrift stores had increased, with many young people using them to achieve the desired bohemian look. This period marked the beginning of secondhand clothing, gaining value and becoming chic again, influenced heavily by the counterculture of that era.
Gen Z, destroy fashion.
I explained to you who hippies are because they were the first ones to prove that style can come from community, not from the fashion industry. They didn't wait for trends. They made their own using what already existed. And honestly, that's exactly the mindset we need today. After what I saw in Bali and everything I learned back in Europe, it's obvious. We don't need more clothes, we need a new approach. And Gen Z, is the first generation with the tools to actually make that shift happen. We can connect instantly, share ideas, build communities, and inspire each other without asking any permission. One outfit, one experiment, one honest story, and suddenly, thousands of people who think the same find each other. So here's your takeaway from this episode of Destroy Fashion. Experiment, reuse, rebuild your style from what already exists. Not because it's aesthetic or trendy, but because it's powerful. And because it's the fastest way to change the fashion system from the inside. Try something new. Customize a piece, repair something you love, or create a look that feels like you. Share it, talk about it, inspire someone else to try it too. That's how movement starts. And this is just the beginning. In the next episode, we will look at all of this from a completely different angle. A perspective that might change the way you see clothes forever. Because this is more than just a documentary. This is Gen Z Destroy Fashion. And we're only getting started.
Gen Z